The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Dr. Elara Vance as she gazed through the viewport of the research vessel Curiosity. Stars twinkled in the distance, each a potential harbor for undiscovered life. Elara's heart raced with anticipation. After years of searching, they had finally found a planet that showed promising signs of complex life forms. "Dr. Vance, we're approaching the planet's orbit," announced Captain Reyes over the intercom. "Prepare for atmospheric entry." Elara took a deep breath, steadying herself. As the ship's lead xenobiologist, she had been waiting for this moment her entire career. The planet below, designated XP 547, was a swirling mass of blues and greens, reminiscent of Earth, but with subtle differences that hinted at its alien nature. As the Curiosity breached the planet's atmosphere, Elara felt a slight shudder run through the ship. The clouds parted, revealing a landscape that took her breath away. Vast forests of silver-leaf trees stretched as far as the eye could see, interspersed with shimmering lakes that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Remarkable," Elara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "Captain, can we get closer to that clearing near the lake? It looks like an ideal landing spot." The ship descended smoothly, touching down in a meadow of iridescent grass. Elara could hardly contain her excitement as she donned her exosuit, a necessary precaution when exploring unknown environments. With a hiss, the airlock opened, and she stepped out onto the alien world. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, a mixture of sweet and earthy that tickled Elara's nose even through her suit's filters. She took a few cautious steps, her boots sinking slightly into the soft ground. The grass beneath her feet seemed to respond to her presence, changing colors in a rippling pattern that spread outward from where she stood. "This is incredible," Elara reported back to the ship. "The plant life here seems to be reactive to physical stimuli. I'm going to collect some samples for analysis." As she knelt to examine the grass more closely, a sound caught her attention. It was faint at first, almost lost in the gentle rustling of the silver leaves, but it grew steadily louder. It was a sound of distress, a low, keening wail that sent shivers down Elara's spine. "Captain, are you picking this up?" she asked, her voice hushed. "Affirmative, Dr. Vance. Our sensors are detecting a large life form about half a kilometer to your east. Proceed with caution." Elara's heart pounded as she made her way through the alien forest. The silver leaves seemed to part before her, as if guiding her path. As she approached the source of the sound, she saw something that made her stop in her tracks. There, in a small clearing, lay a creature unlike anything Elara had ever seen or imagined. It was massive, easily the size of an earth elephant, but its form was utterly alien. Its body was covered in what looked like a combination of scales and fur, shimmering in hues of deep purple and midnight blue. 6 limbs sprawled out from its torso, each ending in what appeared to be both claws and tentacles. But what struck Elara most was the creature's eyes. 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on what she assumed was its head, gazed at her with unmistakable intelligence and pain. One of its limbs was trapped beneath a fallen tree-like structure, and a viscous, silver fluid oozed from the injury. Elara's scientific curiosity warred with her compassion. This was a momentous discovery, the first concrete proof of complex alien life. But more than that, it was a being in pain, and every instinct in her body screamed to help it. "Hello," she said softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone would convey her intentions. "I'm here to help. I won't hurt you." The alien's eyes focused on her, and Elara felt a wave of emotion wash over her. It wasn't quite telepathy, but there was a definite sense of communication. Fear, pain, and a glimmer of hope radiated from the creature. Slowly, carefully, Elara approached. The alien made no move to attack or flee, its eyes following her every movement. As she got closer, she could see the extent of the damage. The fallen structure had crushed one of the creature's limb tentacles, and the silver fluid, which Elara presumed to be its blood, was pooling on the ground. "Okay, big guy," Elara murmured, her mind racing as she tried to figure out how to help. "Let's see if we can get you out of this mess." She examined the fallen structure, noting its weight and composition. It seemed similar to wood, but with a metallic quality that explained why the creature couldn't simply push it off. Ilara knew she couldn't move it alone, but perhaps with the right leverage. "Captain," she called over her comm, "I need an anti-grav unit and some medical supplies. We've got an injured alien life form here, and I intend to help it." As she waited for the equipment to arrive, Ilara continued to observe and document the alien. Its breathing was labored, and she noticed a series of gill-like structures along its sides, pulsing rhythmically. The creature's skin seemed to change color slightly, perhaps as a response to stress or pain. "Hang in there," Ilara said soothingly. "Help is on the way. I promise I'll do everything I can to free you." The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, and another wave of emotion washed over Ilara. This time, she felt a mix of gratitude and curiosity. It seemed the creature was just as fascinated by her as she was by it. When the anti-grav unit arrived, Ilara wasted no time in setting it up. With its help, she was able to slowly lift the fallen structure off the alien's injured limb. As soon as it was free, the creature let out a sound that Ilara could only describe as a sigh of relief. Now came the challenging part. Ilara had basic medical training, but treating an alien life form was far beyond her expertise. Still, she had to try. She approached the injured limb, medical kit in hand, and began to clean the wound as gently as possible. To her surprise, the alien remained calm throughout the process. It watched her work with those intelligent eyes, occasionally making soft trilling sounds that Ilara interpreted as encouragement. As she applied a healing gel to the wound, Ilara noticed something extraordinary. The alien's tissues seemed to be responding to the treatment, regenerating at an accelerated rate. Within minutes, the flow of silver blood had stopped, and new tissue was visibly forming. "Incredible," Ilara breathed. "Your healing abilities are amazing. I've never seen anything like it." The alien's skin rippled, changing to a warmer hue that Ilara instinctively felt was positive. It slowly raised one of its uninjured limbs, the tentacle-like appendage gently wrapping around Ilara's arm. The touch was warm and sent a tingling sensation through her suit. In that moment, Ilara felt a connection that transcended the barriers of species and worlds. Here she was, a human from Earth, treating an alien creature on a distant planet. It was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a bridge between two wholly different forms of life. "You're welcome," Ilara said, somehow knowing that the alien was expressing gratitude. "I'm Ilara. I come from a planet called Earth, far from here. We've been searching the stars for signs of life like you." The alien's eyes blinked in that peculiar sequence again, and Ilara felt a burst of images and sensations in her mind. She saw glimpses of the alien's world, vast underground cities, strange technologies, and a rich, complex culture. It was overwhelming but exhilarating. As the alien slowly rose to its feet, all six of them, Ilara stepped back in awe. Standing at its full height, the creature was even more impressive. It towered over her, its body rippling with colors that seemed to express a mix of pain, relief, and excitement. "Captain," Ilara reported, her voice filled with emotion, "we've made first contact, and it's more incredible than we ever imagined." The alien made a series of complex gestures with its limbs, and Ilara felt another wave of communication. This time, she understood with startling clarity. The creature was inviting her to learn more, to come and see its world. As the sun began to set on this alien world, casting the silver forest in hues of gold and pink, Ilara knew that this was just the beginning. She had come seeking scientific discovery, but she had found something far greater, the potential for understanding and friendship across the cosmic divide. With a smile hidden behind her helmet, Ilara extended her hand to the alien, a universal gesture of peace and cooperation. The creature extended one of its tentacle limbs in return, and as they touched, Ilara felt a surge of hope for the future. The journey of discovery had only just begun. The healing touch. As the alien world's strange, bioluminescent night descended, Dr. Ilara Vance found herself in an unprecedented situation. The massive, six-limbed creature she had aided now stood before her, its three eyes gleaming with an intelligence that both thrilled and unnerved her. The silvery blood had stopped flowing from its wound, but Ilara knew that proper medical attention was still necessary. "Captain Reyes," Ilara spoke into her calm, her eyes never leaving the alien. "I need a full medical kit and some assistance. Our new friend here requires further treatment." "Copy that, Dr. Vance," Reyes replied, his voice tinged with a mix of excitement and concern. "But are you sure it's safe to bring it aboard?" Ilara paused, considering. The alien had shown no signs of aggression, and the empathic connection they shared suggested a peaceful intent. Still, caution was paramount. "We'll set up a containment field in the cargo bay," she decided. "It's the only space large enough to accommodate our guest comfortably." As they waited for the preparations to be made, Ilara attempted to communicate further with the alien. She gestured to herself, then to the ship. "We can help you," she said slowly, pointing to the creature's injured limb. "Medicine. Healing." The alien's skin rippled with colors, shifting from deep purples to softer blues. It extended one of its uninjured limbs, the tentacle-like appendage gently wrapping around Ilara's wrist. Immediately, her mind was flooded with images and sensations. She saw vast underground caverns filled with structures that seemed to be a blend of technology and organic growth. Creatures similar to her new friend moved about, their bodies pulsing with light as they communicated. Ilara gasped as she realized she was seeing the alien's home. "Incredible," she breathed. "You're showing me your world, aren't you?" The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, and Ilara felt a sense of affirmation. Then the images changed. She saw the creature, alone, exploring the surface world, the accident that had injured it, and then her own arrival. "You're an explorer, like me," Ilara said, a smile spreading across her face. "We have more in common than I thought." The sound of approaching footsteps broke the moment. A team from the Curiosity had arrived with the necessary equipment. The alien tensed slightly, its colors shifting to warmer hues. "It's okay," Ilara soothed, placing a hand on one of its limbs. "They're here to help. Trust me." As if understanding her words, the alien relaxed. With gentle coaxing and the help of an anti-grav sled, they managed to guide the massive creature into the ship's cargo bay. A shimmering containment field sprang to life, ensuring the safety of both the crew and their unexpected guest. Once inside, Ilara and the medical team set to work. The challenge of treating an entirely alien physiology was daunting, but Ilara's earlier observations gave them a starting point. They cleaned the wound thoroughly, marveling at the silver blood and the alien's remarkable healing abilities. "Its cellular regeneration rate is off the charts," Dr. Kira Chen, the ship's chief medical officer, murmured as she examined a sample under a microscope. "If we can understand this process, it could revolutionize medicine as we know it." As they worked, Ilara maintained a constant dialogue with the alien, both verbally and through the strange empathic link they seemed to share. She explained each procedure as best she could, always watching for signs of distress or discomfort. The alien, for its part, remained calm and cooperative. Its eyes followed every movement with keen interest, and occasionally it would reach out with one of its limbs, as if trying to assist or point something out. "I think it's trying to guide us," Ilara realized aloud. "It knows its own biology better than we ever could." Taking a risk, Ilara decided to follow the alien's subtle directions. When it gestured towards a particular instrument or area of its body, she complied. To her amazement, this approach yielded immediate results. The wound began to close more rapidly, the silver blood clotting and new tissue forming before their eyes. Hours passed, And gradually, the injury that had seemed so severe began to look like little more than a scratch. The alien's colors had shifted to vibrant, healthy hues, and its movements were once again fluid and painless. "I think we've done it," Ilara announced, stepping back to admire their work. "How do you feel?" she asked the alien, knowing it couldn't respond verbally but hoping for some sign of improvement. The response came not in words, but in a wave of emotion so powerful it nearly knocked Ilara off her feet. Gratitude, wonder, and a deep sense of kinship washed over her. The alien's 3 eyes seemed to glow brighter, and its body pulsed with patterns of light that Ilara somehow knew expressed joy. "You're welcome," she said softly, placing a hand on the alien's now-healed limb. "I'm just glad we could help." As the medical team began to pack up their equipment, Captain Rice entered the cargo bay. He approached the containment field cautiously, his eyes wide as he took in the sight of their extraterrestrial guest. "Dr. Vance," he said, his voice low, "I need a full report, and we need to discuss our next steps. This is, well, it's beyond anything we were prepared for." Ilara nodded, understanding the captain's concern. The discovery of intelligent alien life was a monumental event, one that would change the course of human history. The implications were staggering. "I know, Captain," she replied, "but I think we've been given an incredible opportunity here. This being," she gestured to the alien, "it's not just intelligent. It's curious, peaceful, and eager to communicate. We could learn so much from each other." As if to emphasize her point, the alien began to move. Its massive body shifted, and to everyone's amazement, it began to change shape. Limbs retracted, its form condensed, until it stood before them in a configuration that was eerily humanoid. "It's mimicking us," Dr. Chen gasped. "The morphological control is astounding." Ilara stepped closer to the containment field, her heart racing. The alien, now roughly human-shaped though still much larger, reached out one of its limbs. Without hesitation, Ilara deactivated a small section of the field and extended her own hand. As they touched, the empathic connection flared to life once more. But this time, it was different. Clearer, more focused. And then, to Ilara's utter astonishment, she heard a voice in her mind. "Thank you, Ilara of Earth," the voice said, its tone melodious and otherworldly. "You have shown great kindness to one who is not of your world. My people have long wondered if we were alone in the cosmos. Now we know we are not." Ilara's eyes filled with tears of joy and wonder. She turned to Captain Rice, her face alight with excitement. "Captain," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I think it's time we opened a formal dialogue. Our new friend here has a lot to tell us." As the crew of the Curiosity gathered around, human and alien facing each other in a moment that would be remembered for generations to come, Ilara knew that they stood on the brink of a new era. An era of interstellar cooperation, of shared knowledge and mutual understanding. The healing of a physical wound had led to the healing of a cosmic divide. And as Ilara looked into the alien's eyes, so different yet so full of the same curiosity and wonder she felt, she knew that this was only the beginning of an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. Looming threat. The following days aboard the Curiosity were a whirlwind of discovery and communication. Dr. Ilara Vance found herself at the center of a scientific revolution, acting as the primary liaison between humanity and their new alien friend, whom they had come to call Zephyr, a name chosen for the way its body seemed to ripple like wind-blown water when it moved. Zephyr's ability to reshape its form had proven invaluable in facilitating communication. Through a combination of its newfound humanoid shape and the mysterious empathic link it shared with Ilara, they had made remarkable progress in understanding each other's languages and cultures. The linguistic implications alone are staggering, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's linguist, marveled as she reviewed the latest data. Zephyr's language isn't just verbal. It's a complex interplay of bioluminescent signals, pheromones, and empathic projections. It's like nothing we've ever encountered before. Ilara nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Zephyr's people, the Luminae, as they call themselves, have technologies that border on the miraculous. Their understanding of bioengineering and quantum mechanics is centuries ahead of ours. As fascinating as these discoveries were, they were not without their challenges. Captain Rice had been in constant communication with Earth, trying to navigate the political and ethical minefield that came with first contact. There were those who viewed Zephyr and its kind as a potential threat, others who saw an opportunity for exploitation, and still others who argued for caution and restraint in their interactions. Ilara understood these concerns, but she couldn't help feeling that they were on the brink of something truly wonderful. Zephyr had shown nothing but openness and a genuine desire for peaceful exchange. Its people, as far as they could tell, valued harmony and the pursuit of knowledge above all else. It was during one of their daily communication sessions that everything changed. Ilara and Zephyr were in the cargo bay, which had been transformed into a makeshift technobiology lab. Zephyr was demonstrating some of the finer points of Luminae physiology when suddenly it went rigid, its body flashing with patterns of deep red and black. "Zephyr?" Ilara asked, concern evident in her voice. "What's wrong?" The alien's three eyes focused on her, and Ilara felt a wave of fear and urgency wash over her through their empathic link. Then, words formed in her mind, choppy and fragmented as if Zephyr was struggling to maintain the connection. Danger, coming. Old enemy. Devourers. Ilara's heart raced. "What do you mean, devourers? What kind of danger?" Before Zephyr could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Rice's voice came over the intercom, tense and controlled. "All hands to battle stations. Unidentified vessels approaching at high speed." This is not a drill. Ilara looked at Zephyr, whose body was now pulsing with rapid flashes of light. "Are these the devourers you mentioned?" she asked urgently. Looming threat. The following days aboard the Curiosity were a whirlwind of discovery and communication. Dr. Ilara Vance found herself at the center of a scientific revolution, acting as the primary liaison between humanity and their new alien friend, whom they had come to call Zephyr, a name chosen for the way its body seemed to ripple like wind-blown water when it moved. Zephyr's ability to reshape its form had proven invaluable in facilitating communication. Through a combination of its newfound humanoid shape and the mysterious empathic link it shared with Ilara, they had made remarkable progress in understanding each other's languages and cultures. The linguistic implications alone are staggering. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's linguist, marveled as she reviewed the latest data. Zephyr's language isn't just verbal. It's a complex interplay of bioluminescent signals, pheromones, and empathic projections. It's like nothing we've ever encountered before. Ilara nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Zephyr's people, the Luminae, as they call themselves, have technologies that border on the miraculous. Their understanding of bioengineering and quantum mechanics is centuries ahead of ours. As fascinating as these discoveries were, they were not without their challenges. Captain Rice had been in constant communication with Earth, trying to navigate the political and ethical minefield that came with first contact. There were those who viewed Zephyr and its kind as a potential threat, others who saw an opportunity for exploitation, and still others who argued for caution and restraint in their interactions. Ilara understood these concerns, but she couldn't help feeling that they were on the brink of something truly wonderful. Zephyr had shown nothing but openness and a genuine desire for peaceful exchange. Its people, as far as they could tell, valued harmony and the pursuit of knowledge above all else. It was during one of their daily communication sessions that everything changed. Ilara and Zephyr were in the cargo bay, which had been transformed into a makeshift technobiology lab. Zephyr was demonstrating some of the finer points of Luminae physiology when suddenly it went rigid, its body flashing with patterns of deep red and black. "Zephyr?" Ilara asked, concern evident in her voice. "What's wrong?" The alien's three eyes focused on her, and Ilara felt a wave of fear and urgency wash over her through their empathic link. Then, words formed in her mind, choppy and fragmented, as if Zephyr was struggling to maintain the connection. Danger. Coming. Old enemy. Devourers. Ilara's heart raced. What do you mean, devourers? What kind of danger? Before Zephyr could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Rice's voice came over the intercom, tense and controlled. All hands to battle stations. Unidentified vessels approaching at high speed. This is not a drill. Ilara looked at Zephyr, whose body was now pulsing with rapid flashes of light. Are these the devourers you mentioned? She asked urgently. Zephyr's response came not in words, but in a series of vivid mental images. Ilara saw massive dark ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Creatures that were more machine than organic, with cold, unfeeling eyes and bodies bristling with weapons. And planets, countless worlds left barren and lifeless in the wake of these beings. They consume, Zephyr's voice echoed in her mind. Worlds, resources, life itself. They are the great hunger that moves through the stars. Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. She rushed to the intercom, her voice shaking slightly as she spoke. Captain, we have a serious situation. The approaching vessels are hostile. Extremely hostile. Zephyr says they're called the Devourers, and they're a threat to all life. There was a moment of tense silence before Reyes responded. Understood, Doctor. We're picking up multiple signatures now. Whatever these things are, they're like nothing we've ever encountered. Our weapons might as well be slingshots against their shields. Ilara turned back to Zephyr, her mind racing. Is there anything we can do? Your people must have fought them before. Zephyr's form shifted, elongating and then contracting as if agitated. Fought, yes. Won, rarely. The Devourers are relentless, adapting to every defense. But it trailed off, and Ilara felt a mix of hope and hesitation through their link. But what? She pressed. There may be a way, Zephyr continued. A weapon of last resort, but it requires sacrifice. The ship shuddered as the first volley from the Devourer ships hit their shields. Ilara stumbled, catching herself on a nearby console. What kind of sacrifice? She asked, dreading the answer but knowing they were running out of options. Zephyr's body rippled, and Ilara felt a deep sadness emanate from it. The weapon harnesses the life energy of the user. It can repel the Devourers, drive them back to the void between stars. But the cost is death. Ilara finished, understanding dawning on her face. Zephyr nodded, its eyes dimming slightly. I am prepared to make this sacrifice. For my people, for yours, for all life in this galaxy. Ilara felt tears welling up in her eyes. In the short time they had known each other, she had come to care deeply for this alien being. The thought of losing Zephyr was almost unbearable, but the alternative, the destruction of Earth, of Zephyr's homeworld, of countless other civilizations, was unthinkable. There has to be another way, she insisted, even as another blast rocked the ship. Maybe if we combine our technologies, find a way to share the burden of the weapon. Zephyr's body pulsed with a soft, warm light, a gesture Ilara had come to recognize as affection. Your spirit is admirable, Ilara of Earth. But the weapon was not designed for your physiology. The attempt would surely kill you. Captain Rice's voice crackled over the intercom again, urgent and strained. Dr. Vance, we're running out of options here. Our shields are failing, and we can't outrun these things. If your alien friend has any bright ideas, now would be the time. Ilara looked at Zephyr, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision before them. She knew what had to be done, but the cost seemed too high. In Zephyr, humanity had found not just an alien species, but a friend, a teacher, a kindred spirit among the stars. There must be something we can do, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Some way to face this threat together. Zephyr's form shifted once more, taking on an almost crystalline appearance. Its three eyes focused on Ilara with an intensity that took her breath away. Perhaps, it said, its mental voice tinged with a mixture of hope and determination. There is a way, but it will require trust, courage, and a union of our species unlike anything that has come before. As the devourer ships closed in, their dark forms blotting out the stars, Ilara and Zephyr stood side by side. Whatever came next, they would face it together, human and alien united against a common threat, writing a new chapter in the cosmic story of life's struggle against the void. The battle for survival had only just begun, and its outcome would determine the fate of not just two species, but of all life in the galaxy. Battle for survival. The Curiosity shuddered under another barrage from the devourer ships, its shields flickering dangerously. In the makeshift lab that had once been the cargo bay, Dr. Ilara Vance and Zephyr stood at the precipice of a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. "What do you mean by a union of our species?" Ilara asked, her voice tight with urgency as alarms blared throughout the ship. Zephyr's crystalline form pulsed with light as it responded, its thoughts flowing into Ilara's mind. "The weapon requires a life force to power it, but perhaps it could draw from two lives instead of one. A symbiosis of human and lumine." Ilara's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "You mean merge? Is that even possible?" "Unknown," Zephyr admitted, "but it may be our only chance. Your human adaptability, combined with lumine energy manipulation, it could be enough to survive the weapon's drain." Another blast rocked the ship, and Captain Rice's voice crackled over the intercom. "Dr. Vance, we're out of time. Whatever you're planning, do it now." Ilara took a deep breath, steeling herself. "All right, Zephyr. Let's do this. What do we need to do?" Zephyr's form began to shift, its crystalline structure becoming more fluid. "Open your mind, Ilara. Let down all barriers. Our beings must become one." Heart pounding, Ilara closed her eyes and focused on the empathic link she shared with Zephyr. She felt the alien's presence in her mind grow stronger, more intimate than ever before. Then suddenly, the world around her disappeared. Ilara found herself in a space that defied description, a swirling vortex of memories, emotions, and pure consciousness. She could feel Zephyr all around her, within her. Their thoughts, their very beings, began to intertwine. In that moment of union, Ilara experienced the vastness of Zephyr's existence. Centuries of life, the collective knowledge of the lumine, the wonders and terrors of a universe far larger than humanity had ever imagined. And Zephyr, in turn, felt the intensity of human emotions, the driving curiosity that had propelled them to the stars, the indomitable will to survive against all odds. As their minds merged, their physical forms began to change. Ilara's body took on a crystalline sheen, while Zephyr's form became more humanoid. Energy crackled around them, filling the lab with an otherworldly light. Through their shared consciousness, Ilara and Zephyr reached out to the ancient weapon of the lumine. It responded to their call, materializing in their joined hands, a sphere of pulsing energy that hummed with power. With their merged voice, they spoke to the stunned crew watching from the lab's entrance. "We are ready. Open the bay doors." Captain Rice, his face pale but determined, nodded and gave the order. As the bay doors slid open, exposing them to the vacuum of space, Ilara/Zephyr stepped forward. The vacuum didn't affect them. Their merged form generated its own atmosphere, a bubble of life amidst the void. Before them loomed the devourer fleet, dozens of massive ships, dark and ominous against the backdrop of stars. Ilara felt a surge of fear, but it was quickly tempered by Zephyr's ancient courage. They raised the weapon, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, with a thought, they activated it. A beam of pure energy, brighter than a supernova, erupted from the sphere. It lanced out towards the devourer ships, enveloping them in its radiance. Ilara/Zephyr felt the drain immediately, their life force being siphoned to power the weapon. The pain was immense, unlike anything either of them had experienced before, but they held on, their joined will unyielding. Through their shared vision, they watched as the Devourer ships began to disintegrate, their seemingly invincible hulls crumbling under the onslaught of purifying energy. The Devourers, sensing their impending doom, attempted to flee, but the weapon's range was vast, its power unrelenting. Ship after ship succumbed, reduced to atoms, and scattered to the solar winds. As the last Devourer vessel fell, Ilara/Zephyr felt their strength waning. The weapon had taken a terrible toll, and for a moment, they feared they wouldn't survive the separation. But then, something miraculous happened. The energy they had expended began to flow back, changed but familiar. It was as if the destruction of the Devourers had released the life force they had consumed over millennia. And now that energy was returning to its rightful place in the universe. Slowly, gently, Ilara and Zephyr began to separate, their physical forms disentangled, the crystalline elements receding from Ilara's body as Zephyr resumed its natural fluid state. But the mental connection remained, forever altered by their experience. As they floated back into the Curiosity's cargo bay, they were greeted by the astonished and jubilant faces of the crew. Captain Rice stepped forward, his eyes wide with wonder. I don't know what you did," he said, his voice hoarse with emotion, "but you've saved us all. The Devourer fleet is gone, completely." Ilara, still reeling from the experience, managed a weak smile. "Not just us, Captain. I think we've saved a lot more than that." Zephyr's form rippled in agreement, its colors shifting to display warmth and triumph. Through their link, it communicated to Ilara. "This victory belongs to both our peoples. Together, we have changed the course of galactic history." As the crew of the Curiosity celebrated around them, Ilara and Zephyr shared a moment of quiet understanding. They had glimpsed the true potential of cooperation between their species, a union of strengths that could overcome even the most dire of threats. The battle was won, but both knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But now, humanity and the Luminate would face whatever came next together, bound by an experience that transcended the boundaries of individual beings. As Ilara looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of hope and excitement unlike anything she had ever known. The universe had just become a much larger, more complex place, and she couldn't wait to explore it. Cosmic understanding. The journey back to Earth was filled with a mixture of excitement, anticipation, and no small amount of trepidation. Dr. Ilara Vance stood at the viewport of the Curiosity, watching her home planet grow larger as they approached. Beside her, Zephyr's fluid form shimmered with a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting the alien's own complex emotions. "It's beautiful," Zephyr communicated through their still active mental link. "I see now why your people fought so hard to protect it." Ilara nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "It's not just the planet, Zephyr. It's what it represents: home, family, the cradle of our civilization. And now we're about to change everything they've ever known about the universe." The events that had transpired since their victory over the Devourers had been a whirlwind. The crew of the Curiosity had spent weeks debriefing, documenting every aspect of their encounter with both the Luminae and the cosmic threat they had faced together. Captain Rice had been in constant communication with Earth's leaders, preparing them for the paradigm shift that was about to occur. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Ilara felt Zephyr's anxiety spike through their link. "Your people, will they accept me? Accept us?" Ilara placed a comforting hand on Zephyr's surface, feeling the now familiar tingle of their connection. "It won't be easy," she admitted. "Humanity has dreamed of this moment for centuries, but the reality of it will be challenging for many. But I promise you, there are billions of us who will welcome you with open arms and minds." The Curiosity touched down in a specially prepared facility, surrounded by a mix of scientific personnel, government officials, and a carefully selected group of media representatives. As the airlock hissed open, Ilara took a deep breath and stepped out, Zephyr flowing beside her. The assembled crowd fell silent, their eyes wide with wonder and a touch of fear as they beheld the alien being. Ilara felt a swell of pride as she watched Zephyr morph into its approximation of a humanoid form, a gesture of goodwill that she knew would not go unnoticed. "People of Earth," Ilara began, her voice carrying across the hushed gathering. "I present to you Zephyr, emissary of the Luminae, and our ally in the face of a threat greater than any we have ever known. Today marks the dawn of a new era for humanity, an era of cosmic citizenship." Over the days and weeks that followed, Ilara and Zephyr worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between their two species. They gave interviews, attended scientific conferences, and met with world leaders. Zephyr's ability to share memories and experiences through the empathic link proved invaluable, allowing humans to truly understand the vastness and wonder of Luminae civilization. But it wasn't just humanity that was learning. Zephyr, too, was constantly amazed by the diversity and resilience of Earth's inhabitants. Through Ilara's eyes, it saw the beauty in human art, the passion in their music, the depth of their philosophies. "Your species contains multitudes," Zephyr marveled one evening as they watched a sunset over the Pacific Ocean. "So much variety, so much potential. It's no wonder you've survived and thrived against all odds." Ilara smiled, feeling the warmth of Zephyr's admiration through their link. "We're not so different, you know. Both of our species are driven by curiosity, by the desire to understand and explore. That's what brought us together, and that's what will carry us forward." As the initial shock of first contact began to wear off, the real work began. Joint scientific ventures were established, with human and Luminae researchers working side by side to unlock the secrets of the universe. The technology that had allowed Ilara and Zephyr to merge was studied extensively, with hopes of developing new forms of communication and even space travel. But perhaps the most profound change came in the realm of philosophy and culture. The knowledge that humanity was not alone in the universe, that there were other sentient beings with their own rich histories and perspectives, sparked a renaissance of thought. Art, literature, and music flourished as humans sought to express their newfound place in the cosmic order. Ilara found herself at the center of it all, a bridge between two worlds. Her unique bond with Zephyr made her an invaluable intermediary, able to convey the subtleties of Luminae thought and culture in ways that pure language could not. A year after their return to Earth, Ilara and Zephyr stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Representatives from every nation on Earth, as well as a delegation of Luminae who had made the journey across the stars, filled the hall. "We stand at a crossroads," Ilara began, her voice steady and clear. "Before us lies a future of unlimited potential, a future where the combined knowledge and creativity of our species can unlock the greatest mysteries of the cosmos. But this future is not guaranteed. It requires dedication, understanding, and above all, unity." Zephyr flowed forward, its form shimmering with patterns that the assembled humans were slowly learning to read as expressions of emotion. "My people offer our hand in friendship," it communicated, its thoughts translated and broadcast to the assembly. "Together, we can face the challenges that await us among the stars. Together, we can build a galactic community founded on peace, knowledge, and mutual respect." As Ilara looked out over the assembly, she saw hope in the eyes of humans and Luminae alike. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy. There would be misunderstandings, conflicts, and hurdles to overcome. But she also knew that the potential rewards were beyond imagination. The threat of the Devourers had shown them the dangers that lurked in the darkness between stars. But it had also shown them the incredible power of cooperation, of two vastly different species coming together in the face of adversity. As the assembly erupted into applause, Ilara felt a swell of emotion through her link with Zephyr, a mixture of hope, excitement, and a deep sense of purpose. They had taken the first steps on a journey that would span galaxies and generations. The cosmic bridge had been built. Now, it was time to see where it would lead them.